another Throwback Thursday here at Dakota News Now.
And joining us this morning is Lori Kent with the Local Lou podcast. Thank you for joining us, Lori.
Oh, good morning, guys.
Can you tell us what we're talking about this
We're
week?
continuing on, right?
This one has a layer to it, okay? Because the historical marker is for the Phillips house, which is a really cool historical thing to cover, but the historical marker is missing. So little layer there of mystery. But the historical marker was placed by the Terrace Park Neighborhood Association, so not a historical society, just this neighborhood got together and they're like, this history is really important. We want to make sure that people see it, and because you don't necessarily maybe see this history when you go to the park. And so they placed it right in the remnants of where the house used to stand, and they dedicated it in December of 2020, and by spring of 2022 the marker was gone. And what's a shame about it, well, all of it is, but what gets me is this was such a perfectly placed historical marker. It is right where the house used to stand, right within some of the ruins of the home, and so you could see what it brings it to life. There was a beautiful picture of the home on the historical marker from the Siouxland Heritage Museums, and it told the story. And so these past 2 years without this historical marker, we've had so many people go to the park and they might have wondered what used to be here, and they don't have this historical marker to tell them. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the history of the Phillips house. So we already got to know a little bit about Hattie and Josiah, mother and father of Sioux Falls. They were here kind of from the beginning. And so Josiah dies in 1882, leaving Hattie with 7 kids and a bunch of money. So she actually kind of skedaddles from the downtown Sioux Falls area, and she goes to the outskirts of Sioux Falls, which would be the Terrace Park area now. And she builds a $50,000 house, which at that time was like $1.5 million. This place is huge. It is a palatial estate. She treated herself well. She raised the 7 kids there, and then she would sell the estate in 2016 to the city, and they would use that to be a park. But there was kind of a fire too. So this house was made of Sioux quartzite, the first and second level, and then the third level was wood, which I guess was a bad call. It doesn't quite work out. The historical marker actually told kind of a funny story. In 1909, a tenant, so somebody that was staying there on the 3rd floor, tried to thaw out a frozen pipe with a blowtorch, which started a small fire, which then ruined that level of the house. But luckily, all the stone levels of the house remained. So in 1920, it's refurbished. It started to be used again for like civic activities and community gatherings. And for the next couple decades, the house is well loved and utilized in the park. But then in the 1960s, you know, things were different, and they decided that they were going to just take a wrecking ball to the house. The Historical Society did show up at the 11th hour, but it was too little too late. The house was demolished in 1966. And I would say all we have left is the historical marker, but
now we don't
have that either.
If you know where it is,
please return it.
Return it
somewhere. Just return it somewhere.
Absolutely.
Let's get it back. And maybe, hopefully, you know, maybe in the future, if we can't get it back, there could be plans to put another one in its place, because I think it's super important to restore that history there.
It was such amazingly placed history. Yes.
Well, thanks for being here this morning,
Thanks,
Lori.
guys.
Always a treat, and we'll be back after the break.